as coaches and to be coaches. We have with us today Carrie Spaulding. And so welcome, Carrie. Carrie is...
It's great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Carrie Spaulding is a coach, speaker, facilitator, improviser, educator, nomad, and surprisingly human too. 20 years of professionally performing, teaching, and directing improvisation have empowered Carrie to thrive in each of these identities. Using her distinctively creative, experiential, and outside-the-box approach, she helps individual clients, teams, coaches, and leaders to harness the power of improvisation to be more effective, engaged, and collaborative. She's also an acclaimed speaker and session leader, and she facilitates growth with warmth, passion, expertise, and humor, and leaves participants armed with improved skills, new tools, and management strategies. She also runs her private coaching, the 30-something Coach, where she helps 30-somethings break through panic, create careers, relationships, and lives, and help carve the lives they want to lead. A professional coach, she's also PCC and credentialed by ICF. In Jan 2018, she embarked on the ultimate improvisation and nomadic adventure, living, coaching, speaking, training, and improvising all over the US. This has honed Carrie's mastery in creating presence in the midst of disruption, fostering instant connections in a wide variety of settings, and nurturing emergent opportunities. Sorry for that. Today, we are here to discuss improvisation concepts to help your coaching clients move forward. And in this webinar, we learn the basic principles of improvisation that can help you and your clients recognize and break unconscious patterns that are keeping you stuck and sabotaging your career. You'll discover ways that yes and thinking can help you and your clients generate options, create peace and acceptance, get into action, and reach your goals more effectively. Wow, Carrie, that's a lot. And over to you now.
I know, it sounds like a lot. We got to do all that. Ooh, what was I thinking? Well, it's so wonderful to be here with all of you. Exciting to see people coming in from all across the globe. And I'm so honored to be invited to speak with you today. So we are here to talk about how improvisation can help you and your coaching clients move forward. And I'd like to always encourage everyone, this is certainly something I practice in my own work, to first do our own work and take in these concepts for yourself. You're going to be most able to use them with your clients if you first really think about how these concepts can show up for you in your own life. So let's jump in, and we're going to talk a little bit about why improvisation can be such a helpful tool to help your clients and you get unstuck and move forward. I'm going to teach you the basic principles that professional improvisers use to do what we do on stage, to make things up on the spot and create spontaneous theater. But you don't have to be a professional improviser or even a novice improviser to learn these concepts and apply them to your work with your clients. And I'm going to teach you the tools that you need to bring this into action right away. We will talk about applications, and I'll give you a few case studies, examples of stories that I've used yes and with my clients to help them get where they want to go. So are we ready? And I hope everyone, even though you're all on mute, is saying, yes, we're ready to go. So I have had a lot of identities, as we all do in my life. And I started improvising and teaching improvisation and directing improvisation professionally about 20 years ago. And at the time, I never would have imagined that it would be something that would serve me in every single other aspect of my professional and personal life. It wasn't until much later that I started to realize what an edge improvisation gave me as a coach, as a brand new coach, the applications of improvisation were instantly obvious to me as I was looking at our core competencies and holding them up against the concepts of improvisation. I could tell, oh, I've been practicing some of these things for a really long time. Certainly as a teacher, I was a teacher for 9 years before opening my coaching business. And my improvisation skills allowed me to show up and facilitate groups of people with a lot of skill and sort of baked in ideas that helped me to really thrive and support the people that I was working with. Certainly as a speaker and facilitator, we never know what's going to happen. And hopefully we won't have to rely on too much on improvisation today, but improvisation has really served me. And as a business owner, improvisation has really given me an edge. And certainly as a nomad, hopping all over and creating life wherever I am. And then, of course, just as a human being, because that's what we are first and foremost. And regardless of what identities we have or what challenges we're working with, we're all humans first and foremost. And the skills of improvisation can help us in a huge variety of ways. So I'm really excited to share some of those ways with you today. So in thinking about what I wanted to share with you all today, this is a huge topic. And I wanted to create something a little bit new for you and just kind of shine a specific lens on it. And one thing to know is that improvisation can help you and your clients do so many things. I teach workshops in a variety of contexts, and the applications of improv are really virtually endless. And I have here on the screen, these are some of the applications to our relationships, to our inner game, to our ability to perform. And we're not going to go into all of this today. We're actually going to focus on just one piece. And these are the pieces that we're going to really focus on that yes and can help you and your clients with. So the first thing is to really tap into your intuition and your creativity and increase your access to it. Something that we tend to do and our clients tend to do is in ways that we don't even recognize, we shut ourselves off. We shut down our intuition and our creativity. And the more that we do that, eventually it stops speaking up quite so much, or we don't even hear it when it does speak up. Improvisation skills can really help you to invite your intuition and your creativity to keep talking to you and allow you to actually build on what they tell you. Improvisation can also help you and your clients work through and sometimes pretty quickly dissolve impediments to action, things that are getting in your way. So sometimes the obstacles that come up will be things that really we need to take some time with. And sometimes you'll find that using these concepts will actually help to release some things that have been blockers pretty quickly and pretty efficiently. Improvisation can also help you and your clients tell the difference between real obstacles and things that are getting in the way of taking action and excuses. And interestingly, we sometimes are more likely to think about, oh, you're saying this is an obstacle, it's really just an excuse. This works both ways. Sometimes our clients are really hard on themselves and they'll show up and say, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just making excuses. I'm just not getting it done. I'm just lazy. And it turns out that actually there are some real blockers there that we need to be able to work with and release so that the client can move forward and take action. Improvisation can also help us to deal with complexity and the conflicting realities that we're sometimes experiencing. We can feel many different ways about a situation at the same time. We can have conflicting values or conflicting priorities. And when we can actually welcome in that whole reality and deal with these complex realities, we can get greater peace and acceptance. And then finally, improvisation can help us stop beating ourselves up. I don't know about you. I have clients who are so hard on themselves. And I'm guessing a lot of you, I certainly have worked with this in my own life and in my own work. We hold ourselves to a very high standard. And improvisation concepts can help us to develop a more balanced view of ourselves, even when we feel we might be letting ourselves down, or when we're up against a barrier or something, a pattern that we just keep kind of letting ourselves down. Okay, so this is kind of the content of what we're going to focus on today. And I want to teach you the basic principles of improvisation. The first rule of improvisation, this is universal. You could go anywhere in the world, and this is what you would hear, is to say yes. Say yes is the first rule of improvisation. And in order to explain what that means, I need to fill you in on some of the terms that improvisers use when we're talking about the work that we do. So to say yes means to accept all offers. To say yes is to accept all offers. And an offer is any information that is available to us. It's any information on stage that comes up in a scene. So let's talk about this in improv first, and then we'll talk about how to apply it to all those great goals that we have for today. So an offer on stage, it can be verbal, and a verbal offer is one that just comes through our words. So it could be somebody saying, "Hi, Mom, I'm home from school." And with that offer, we have a lot of information, right? We know that we have a child and a parent. We know that we're right now in the home where we live. We know that communication has been initiated. There's a lot of information there. Offers can also be physical. So let's add something physical to that. The kid might say, "Hi, Mom, I'm home from school." And now there's this physical offer. Maybe the child is holding something. Maybe they've got a giant poster or project. Maybe they're initiating a hug. There's some physical information there that can be observed. So that's more information. And then energetic. So energetic offers could give us a lot of information, even though nothing has changed in the words or in the physical. So that might look something like, "Hi, Mom, I'm home from school." And what do we know there? Well, maybe there's something really exciting to share, or maybe I'm so happy to be here. Maybe it's the first day of summer vacation, which is well-timed for this presentation, at least here where I am in the world. So we get so much information from verbal, physical, and energetic offers. So in improvisation, we have two choices of how we can deal with an offer. We can accept the offer. And to accept it means to take it in as completely as we can and to incorporate it as true, as part of reality. So again, it doesn't necessarily mean that the characters love each other or agree with each other in all their perspectives. But as an improviser, when you're accepting, you're taking in the information that your scene partner has offered and you're incorporating it into the scene as part of that shared reality. Another thing you can do is to block the offer. And to block means either to intentionally not take it in. So you ignore it, pretend not to hear it on purpose, or you don't incorporate it as true. So you take it in and you push up against it. So a good example of a block in the example I just gave you might be, "Hi, Mom, I'm home from school." "Crazy old man, you're not my mother." So I heard you, but I'm not taking in and incorporating what you said as true. If you were to do that on stage, and sometimes you'll see a novice improviser make an offer like that on stage, you might get a really big laugh from the audience because it's very startling and surprising. And then you have nowhere to go because blocking breaks trust. And it breaks trust with others. Today, we're really going to be focused on how we block ourselves. It breaks trust with ourselves as well. So there's really nowhere to go from there when we just shut down part of the reality. For that reason, we have a really simple rule in improvisation. We always accept. We never block. It's as simple as that. That's the rule. It's nice, I think, in life when things are that simple. So we're going to talk a little bit today. Our real focus is going to be on offers that we get from ourselves. So we get offers predominantly in three ways. And oftentimes when I'm teaching improvisation concepts, I'm focusing on offers from other people because teams or partners, people who collaborate together, it can be really helpful to work on how we get offers from other people and how we respond to those offers, how we accept in life with other human beings. So we can get offers from other people. We can also get offers from the environment. So that's anything that's non-human or non-animal, anything in nature, anything in the news. These things are our environment and they influence us tremendously. So we can also learn a lot from using yes and using this improv concept with offers from the environment. Today, we're going to really zoom in on the third kind of offer that we can get, which is offers from ourselves. We get tons of offers from ourselves constantly, and our clients are always getting offers from themselves as well. And that's what we're going to focus on. So they come in three ways. Remember, I said that on stage, offers are verbal, like talking, they're physical, or they're energetic. Correlation to that you're going to see here. So from ourselves, we get offers in three ways. We get them through our thoughts, which are often in the form of words, right? So that's a little bit correlated to the verbal. So we have thoughts constantly moving through our heads. Some of them we notice, some of them we don't. It's impossible to really take in all offers because there's an infinity of offers going on, but we do have lots and lots of thoughts coming through our heads. We also take in offers physically, right? We get offers that are from our somatic experiences. So we might have a sensation, right? Like I'm noticing that my shoulders are really, really tight, or I'm clenching my jaw. And I can notice that there's a lot of tension in my jaw. I don't know if any of you can relate to this one. I'm using a real example, right? Sometimes I'll notice that that's happening. And it's a piece of information that can often lead me to understand some things that are going on that I wouldn't otherwise know. And offers can also come through our intuition. And this is our sense, right? Our knowing, our embodied gut feeling of what's happening. So sometimes in life, we may have a strong intuition where we feel like we just know something that we need to do, or we have a sudden idea that our gut just kind of presents to us that we had no idea that we were working on. So let's talk about what it would mean to say yes to the offers from yourself. So again, you can think about this. Let's first kind of think about it with you, and then we're going to apply it to our clients because we are humans and our clients are humans. So we operate in the same way. So first we'll talk about what saying yes to yourself is not. Yes is not agreement with the offer as a fact, right? So you might have a thought, I am a total failure. That's a thought. Some of you might have had that thought before. It can be a very painful thought. It can be a thought that generates a lot of emotion. Agreement for our purposes, for for saying yes, is not endorsement of that as a fact. Well, yes, I am a failure. I just need to accept it, right? It wouldn't be very helpful. It's not agreement with that as a fact. It's not taking one offer and assuming it's the entire truth. I'm a failure and that's that, right? It's not assuming that whatever you have zoomed in on is the whole reality. And it's not marching orders. Saying yes is not saying, okay, I must drop everything and do this thing right now. It's not the same as a decision or a plan to say yes. And it's not a lack of boundaries, right? So it's not the same as every offer that I get from myself, I have to take it on, I have to deal with it. We choose where we want to focus, where we want to learn, where we want to say, okay, I'm going to take a different opportunity for learning. I've learned a lot this week and I need to take a break. It's not having a lack of boundaries. Saying yes to your own offers, to the offers you get from yourself, does mean making space for it and really inviting, allowing, welcoming it in as information. I'm having a thought that I'm a total failure. I'm willing to work with that. I'm willing to let that in and just be with it, in observation of it. It's okay for that thought to exist. I can let it in. I can take it in. I don't have to stuff it under the rug. Instead, I can allow it into the room. Incorporating it as part of reality. Now, this is a distinction that's really important. Again, it's not the reality is that it's a fact that I'm a failure, for example, but the emotions, the experience of that, the energy of that is part of your reality. That's the way that you're feeling. That's something that exists for you. It's part of what you're dealing with. So maybe you are experiencing disappointment. Maybe you are experiencing frustration with yourself. So incorporating that, that's part of the experience that you're having. Yes is also accepting the offer as part of your whole truth. Not necessarily the whole truth, but it's part of it. Okay. And validating the energy and the feeling and the experience behind the offer. So when we say yes to an offer from ourselves, we're validating that we have that energy or that feeling or that experience. So let's talk about why we block ourselves. Here's the elephant in the room. Maybe some of you can think about an elephant in the room of your lives that you haven't wanted to look at. And there are really good reasons why we block. One thing is that it's often unconscious. Often we don't even know that we're doing it. We don't know that we're blocking. We have offers that we're not even conscious of. And it's very automatic for us to sometimes just shut down the offers that are coming in. So we don't always do it intentionally. One reason that we block is that it keeps us safe. Even if the current reality doesn't feel good, it's still what we know. And so we can avoid the unknown, or we can try if we block. Sometimes we have lack of trust in our own abilities. And so if we have an offer from ourselves that's like an idea or a desire, we can block it because we don't trust that we can make it happen. Sometimes we block because we don't want to deal with the elephant in the room. We don't want to deal with something that's really going to be uncomfortable. So you could get an offer from yourself, I'm unhappy in my marriage, or I'm really miserable in my job. And you could keep blocking that offer, stuffing it, trying not to hear it, because you don't want to deal with the content of it. Sometimes we block because we think it's going to be more efficient, right? I don't have time to deal with that. Or we feel impatient with ourselves. So we could have an offer that is sort of a feeling or a sensation. And we could think, I just don't have time to deal with that. I need to get on with it. Sometimes with our clients, this will show up as maybe they have a fear or something that's blocking them from taking action. And instead of yesing that fear and accepting it and taking it in, they'll block it. They'll say, I shouldn't feel that way. I should get over that. Get over it is a form of blocking, kind of trying to push ourselves to get over something. Sometimes related to that, we block ourselves because we judge whatever part of our truth is. Sometimes we have realities, instincts inside, thoughts, intuitions, sensations that we feel not proud of, that we don't feel good about. And so sometimes we'll try to just brush them aside and block them. When our clients do that, it's often actually holding them back. It's less efficient because they're never actually dealing with it. And then also we can block offers because we want to please or accommodate others. And sometimes we'll get offers from ourselves that if we were to incorporate them into our reality, that might involve disappointing somebody else, setting boundaries, like in some way feeling like I can't make room for my own ideas or offers and also please everybody in my life. So there are some real costs to blocking. And I bet as I list these, you'll be able to think of some examples either for your clients or for yourself, maybe both, where you've seen these costs show up to blocking. So one big thing is that we stay stuck in this yes, but cycle. Have you ever had a client who they bring an idea, they bring an issue to you, and the two of you are working, and every possible idea that comes up to move forward, little step that you could take, gets yes butted. Yeah, but I can't do that. Yeah, but that's not good. Yeah, but I'm too, what if I don't like it? So we get in this yes, but cycle, and in the long run, it really takes more time. Little action is taken. So we might stay in a place of wanting to create a change, but we don't actually take the change. Blocking can really shut down our instincts of creativity, and it can really impact our confidence, because every time that little part of us speaks up and tries to share truth or give an idea, we shut it down. And so we really lose that sense of agency, that ability to take our ideas into action or to manage all of the parts of reality that we have. And so we don't end up feeling very empowered when we're in this place of continually blocking ourselves. We never really deal with certain aspects of reality, and so problems fester. And when we have an offer that we're continually getting, maybe you've heard some of your clients experience this, or you can keep getting something from yourself over and over and over again, thinking the same thought or having the same gut feeling about what you should do, or having your body telling you information. And if we don't deal with it, it just calcifies, or it just gets stronger, or it just starts to fester inside of us. And it can have a really, over time, a really insidious negative impact on our relationship with ourselves. We lose respect for ourselves. We stop trusting ourselves to move our lives forward. And this is something that, when our clients reach out to us and say, oh my gosh, like I should have made this call 5 years ago. Have you ever had a client who told you, I should have started working with you 5 years ago? I've been saying I needed to email you. I've had your email on a sticky note for 6 months now. That's that negative impact of having blocked ourselves and not moved things forward. So let's talk about a few examples. And these all came from, in many cases, more than one client that I've worked with. So I had a client who had been pretty unhappy at work for some time and got a great job offer. And she wanted to take it. But she was really afraid of letting all the people down at her current job. She felt like, she knew that she was valued, and she felt really scared and terrible about leaving the company that had really nurtured her for a long period of time. Okay, so that's the offer, right? And then there's the block. Then we have the example of clients who have an idea for a business, or maybe it's an article, right? You can fill in your own idea here. But I had a client who had an idea for a business that she had been nurturing for years, and she really wanted to start it, but she just kept noticing that she wasn't taking any action. So this not taking action is sort of the symptom of the block, right? So she had to really get into it with compassionate curiosity. What's underneath that? I'm saying that I want to start this business. I'm so passionate about it. I'm really confident that it's a good idea, and I'm not taking any action. And what she found is that she was just really terrified of failing. And for her, failing meant other people not thinking it was a good idea. But it could mean different things for different people, right? It could mean I'm not going to make any money. It could mean any number of things. So the offer, the idea from yourself is, I want to start this business, and then there's a block. I'm scared of failing. So here's another example. Have you ever had a client who comes into the session feeling so down on themselves because they haven't achieved any of the goals that they committed to, that they said that they were going to do, the action steps? And oftentimes there's no but here, right? It's just I failed and that's it. So these are ways that our clients can get really knocked down and stuck with offers and blocking. Let's talk about how we can help. So the second principle, the second piece of improvisation that I want to teach you is to get in the game. And this is really about adding offers. And this is adding an and. This is something that we can help clients do with the offers that they're getting from themselves. So before we get into kind of how to do that, let's talk about why to do that. So here are some of the benefits of saying yes, of yes-anding, of accepting all these offers that come in and building on them. The first thing is that it makes room for our whole reality, which allows us to actually deal with stuff. So yes, I want to start a business and I'm terrified of failing. It makes room for both of those things to be true. We change that but, which is a blocking word, to and, which is an accepting word. It makes room for all of that to be true. Then we can discern, what do we want to do with it? What do we want to wait? And we have a greater sense of personal integrity because we know that we're not hiding anything from ourselves. We're allowing it all into the room, which ultimately gives us a lot of peace. Benefits of accepting also include that it teaches us that it's safe to have ideas and that our intuition is going to be respected and we can be creative. So when we start to yes each part of ourselves, we start to, that inner part of us, inner creator, starts to be braver about speaking up because it knows it's going to be well received. Yes-anding ourselves also encourages us to actually take action. We're going to talk about that more as we go through. When we yes and we don't have that roadblock, we're able to actually move forward. And over time, it has this upward spiral of really nurturing a better relationship with ourselves. We start to feel a lot less judgmental, a lot less scared of whatever conflicting realities we might have. And that has a ripple effect and an upward spiral in our other relationships. So when we improve the way that we work with ourselves, it also impacts the way that we show up for other people. So take a moment, let's start to apply this. And grab a piece of paper or something, maybe you've got a notebook, and divide it into 3 pieces here and do a little brainstorm. What are some of the offers that you're getting from yourself? It doesn't have to be right this minute. You might want to think about this period of time in your life and your business, maybe think back over the last month or so. What are some of the offers that you are getting, some of the information that you're getting from your body? Or some of the thoughts that have been coming through your head? They might have been one-time thoughts, or they might have been recurring thoughts. Or what are some of the intuitive hits that you've been getting? And I'm going to give you about a minute to work on that. Sometimes a portal into these is I should, I need to, I want to, I could. The somatic ones, you can just even scan your body right now. Like what are you noticing? Could be I'm noticing I'm hunched over and slumping in my chair, or I'm moving back. Give you about 15 more seconds. This is something you can return to and take more time with, and I encourage you to repeat. Okay, so go ahead and look at your list, and you're going to put either a check mark or an X or a little squiggly. So any offers that are on your list that you've been accepting and anding. And what that means is that you've been taking them in and you've been actually moving them forward in some way, right? And that could be, it doesn't necessarily mean, that it's all positive offers. Like, I'm feeling really terrified of failing at something. To and that might be to say, okay, and I've reached out to get support with that challenge, or I took some time to journal about what I'm scared of, really, or I worked with my coach, right? So anding doesn't mean I resolved everything. It just means that you took it in and you took some action, or you allowed it to be processed. An X next to anything that you're blocking. And remember, blocking is not a crime. It's something we all do very naturally for all kinds of reasons. But anything that has come in and you've just kind of pushed it aside, or it's been like, but I don't have time. All right, I'll give you an example. I want to start running again. I have not been running. I think probably like 3 times a week, at least, I think. I know I would feel good if I went for a run. I need to go for a run. And the but is often, but I don't want to drive to a good place to run, but it's too hilly around here, but I have so much work to do, but I have this session to get ready for. I might be exhausted if I run. I mean, do you hear how we do this? So those would be the offers that you're blocking. And then put a little squiggly next to any offers that you're accepting. You're making space for them. You're not kind of pushing them out of the way. And you're not yet really anding them. You're not doing anything with them. So it could be something like, oh, I have a great idea for a book I want to write. And there's no but. You just, interesting. That's an idea that's just kind of sitting there. That would get a little squiggly. Okay. So notice that we can take inventory of the offers we're getting from ourselves without judgment, just with curiosity. It's a normal human thing to do any of these. We just want to be at choice about it. Okay, so why don't we just say yes and to everything? Well, there is actually cost to accepting. One thing is that it does take time up front. It takes less time to not go for a run than it takes to go for a run, right? It takes less time to shove it under the rug that you're unhappy in your marriage than it does to actually go to marriage counseling, right? Or do the work of figuring out what you want to do about it. It does take more time up front. It takes courage to face the things that we're scared about. It requires facing and really embracing what currently is, which can be very painful, hard. Sometimes that means letting go of how we wanted things to be, like letting go of the past, letting go of things that we did that we thought were mistakes, and just embracing, like, stop, we're not fighting with reality anymore. And that can be a challenge, something that we're not always ready to do. It demands that we take responsibility for our lives. Instead of being in that victim mode and being passive, it demands that we become agents. And that's not saying that it's not marching orders. We don't necessarily have to go one way or the other, but we're no longer just shoving it out of the way. We're saying, okay, I'm continually not taking action because I'm afraid. What do I want to do about that? And it also might require us to let go of what we feel like is control. Sometimes we're not in as much control as we think we are. Accepting requires us to sometimes take the risk of the unknown instead of staying in the current situation that we're used to. And we often feel like we have certainty if we stay where we are, and like the future has a lack of certainty. So let's talk a little bit about how you can hear and recognize blocks in your clients. We've looked a little bit at your own life. Now let's look at our clients. When you hear the word but, there is 99.9% of the time going to be a block in there. Anything where it's this, but that, there's always a block there. When the client brings up a feeling or a thought or an idea, and then they quickly blow past it and they just kind of push it out of the way, right? So if they say, I really want to write a book, but I have no time for that, or whatever. It shows up a lot when our clients will bring something up and then just quickly push it out of the way. And then when you sense a client, this is more your intuition as coach, because oftentimes blocks are invisible And sometimes you aren't even going to hear the offer part. You're not even going to hear the yes, the thing that the offer that they're blocking, that they could say yes to, or they could say no to. So when you sense as a coach that the client isn't fully acknowledging their reality, like there's something more that they maybe feel they should feel a certain way, or they show up and you sense that they're putting on a front of some kind, or that you get a sense that they're ignoring or bypassing some part of their reality, that's an indication that there may be some blocking going on. There may be some yes, but going on. So what we want to help our clients do is turn that but into and. We want to help them make room for the whole reality with everything that they're doing. So I feel this way, and I feel this way, right? I want to leave my job, and I am really scared about telling my colleagues that I'm leaving. Not but, right? It's an and. They're both true. I value X. I also value Y, right? I value being at home with my family and going to my kids' soccer games. And I also really value advancing at work. That's a conflict, right? That's why we often say but to it. I'm showing up like this. I'm also showing up like Y, right? There are ways that I feel really proud of myself. There are ways that I'm letting myself down. So here's how we can coach a client to yes and. Sometimes you might want to teach the concept directly. This is optional. So it's always an option to share this with your clients like we would share any other tool, right? Hey, there's this concept that comes from improvisational theater that might be helpful. I'm noticing a pattern in maybe how you're bringing things to the table, and this is a tool that might help. Whether or not you share it explicitly, you can use it. And I use yes and in virtually every coaching conversation, whether or not it's explicit. So one thing is that you can invite the client to restate something with and. If you change no other words and just change but to and, you will change the whole energy of how your client is working with their reality. As coach, you can identify and reflect the parts. I'm hearing this and I'm hearing this. Yes, the feelings, the values, the energy, the experience that are embedded in each offer, and really validate and honor them. Even the ugly ones, even the offers that your clients feel really yucky about, right? So let's say that you have a client who's like really jealous of their partner's success and they feel terrible about it. And they think, I shouldn't feel that way, and try to block it, just push that out of the way. You can yes that by saying, hey, you're not necessarily agreeing with whatever the offer is. You're just validating the human experience. It's understandable that you would have that experience of feeling jealousy, and you're a human and humans feel that way. And that sounds tough. So you're really making space for the whole reality. And then your client gets to allocate the focus. Okay. It doesn't have to be equal. Sometimes just by validating part of the reality, it's like, it's as simple as saying, yes, I'm having a thought that I am a failure and that I don't deserve to be speaking in front of people and whatever. I mean, our brains say some nasty stuff. I'm hearing that, and I can take some time to just sort of say, okay, I have compassion for that part of myself. I hear you, and I'm going to really put my energy on doing the best that I can with this. So it doesn't mean that we have to give equal time to both pieces, just that we make room, we acknowledge, we validate, and then we decide. And you can work with each part and design actions. So we'll talk in the case studies about, that I brought up before, about kind of how that showed up in a minute. So here's some language specifically that you can use when you're getting to that yes and. One is that you can actually invite the client to restate, right? So what would that sound like with an and instead of a but? Or as coach, you can reflect back the offers you hear. I'm hearing X and I'm hearing Y. I'm hearing that you really like this new job opportunity, and you're really unsure about whether you want to leave people in the lurch at work. I'm hearing both of those things. Or part of you feels this way, another part of you feels this way. Just restating that to our clients, you as coach are making space for the whole reality in a non-judgmental, compassionate way. I have had countless clients get relief just from this, like nothing else that I'm teaching you, just from this first piece here. It's like the air comes out of the balloon. Oh, it's okay for me to feel all of this. I can just stop lying to myself and that one part of it doesn't matter and invalidating myself. And so then really make space for them in the coaching conversation about what if they're both true? What if they're both valid? What if they're both important? Let's make space for all of it. Inviting your client to do that can be a tremendous, tremendous relief. Okay, so in the case study of the person with the great job offer, afraid of letting down people at work, the yes was really about validating and accepting both of those things. It wasn't just some made up story that people at work were going to be disappointed. They were going to be disappointed. And so it's not saying, oh, it'll be fine. It's saying, yeah, it's valid that I want to make a decision for my own career. And it's understandable that it's hard to feel other people being disappointed. And then you can actually create an action plan for both. And with this client, she moved forward with the job offer. She also came up with a plan for how she wanted to message her transition, how she wanted to leave things in a way that was really as good as could be for the people that she worked with. In the case study of, I want to start a business, but I'm not taking action because I'm really deep down, I'm scared of failing. The yes was to really accept and validate both the idea of the business and really tap into the excitement about it and validate that fear. You know what? It's actually possible that people might not, not all people might like your idea. So let's really make space for that. And then we can work with that fear. And you as coaches have all kinds of tools that you can work with clients to help them work through their obstacles. We can work with it directly. And either afterwards or simultaneously, we can also be taking tiny steps on that business. When you make space for that whole reality, you can actually help your clients move forward while they're really acknowledging what they're really scared about. And this can actually be way more efficient, because what you'll see is if you never deal with the fear, then you keep having that same block come up over and over and over again. Okay, so in terms of, I just showed up to my coaching session. I didn't do any of my goals this week. And again, there's no but. The client sees this as the entire reality. This is where you can use yes and to help your client generate a broader view of reality. They're not just a failure, right? So first, the yes, validate the feelings. You're really, really disappointed in yourself. And it's true that you said that you were going to do X and you didn't do it. And it's understandable that you're feeling that way. And then with the and, balance it, flesh it out with the true positives. And when I say true positives, I mean, you're not just painting positivity on something negative. What are they doing well? Well, maybe it's just the way that they're showing up and being so real with themselves and being vulnerable. What did they invest their time in instead? What can we do with that? What can we learn? How can we use this as an opportunity to figure out what obstacles are in play? How can you take action? Yes, you're feeling really disappointed that you didn't do this last week. And how can you support yourself in taking action now? There's that yes and. Okay, so take something on your own list to identify and that you want to take action on this week. Just one thing, one offer that you've gotten from yourself, something that you either had an X next to or a squiggle next to, because you're already good to go with the check things, and identify for yourself, how will you yes and some of the offers that you've gotten this week. It can be tiny. If you've already had an idea and you've dismissed it, that was a yes, but just so you know, right? So if you have an idea and your brain's like, yes, but that doesn't really matter. Or yes, but that won't really achieve that much. Try to make it a yes and. So if there's an instinct to do even more, it's like, yes, and maybe I could take that a little farther. If the yes, but is yes, but that's too ambitious, I don't have time this week. Then the and could be, what's an even smaller step I could take? Okay. So here's a quick improv hack that you can use with yourself and with your clients. If for 1 week, just the next coming week, you were to replace the word but with the word and in your own thinking, not in a judgmental way, just in a gentle way, and in your speech, you'll notice some shifts, because when you're butting in your head, you're often shutting down your parts of your own reality. You're often blocking some of your own offers. Again, we're really focusing this week on how we do that with ourselves. A lot of this stuff can be applied to relationships with other humans. Today, we're really focusing on how we do this with ourselves. And your clients can do that too. Okay, so I'd love to hear in the chat, what are you most excited? What insights have you had? If you want to share accountability, like the thing that you decided that you're going to do in the chat, that's something you can do too. What are you really excited to bring forward in your leadership and in your life? And we're going to open it up for questions. So I'll turn it back to you to guide that, and let's see what we've got. And I'm going to see if I can figure out how to stop sharing my screen so that I get to see all your faces. If anybody would like to turn their video on. I see a lot of frozen faces. You all have very nice pictures. So Samina, do you want to, are you seeing any questions coming in, or any that you've collected over the time?
There are no questions as such, but guys, please turn your videos on. Yes, Elise has a question. Elise, go ahead, please.
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Hi, Elise.
Thank you very much for your speech. And yeah, I have a question about being stuck. I mean, when I have some clients that we can identify together that they are stuck, and they are like in a loop, like, I don't know, I want this, but I don't know. And most of the time during the session, we can work on a plan, we can do some stuff, and the next session, finally, they didn't do much, or maybe they didn't do anything of the list. So how we can help them to be, ready to put the button on action, because they already realize it. They realize that they are stuck in their own pattern, that they feel of a lack of confidence or lack of legitimacy. So they think, okay, I can tell me that, or I can do this, or I can do that. But after, with the time, they lose the energy and the conviction. And so I still work on them, but is there some other help I can give?
Yeah, well, Elise, I think right at the end there, you said something that I took as an offer, maybe from you, from the coach, an observation.
Yes.
And it's, so when you left our session last week, you were really excited to take action on this, or maybe you weren't really excited, whatever the case, you were willing, you were committed, and when you show up in our next session, that excitement has depleted. That's what I'm hearing as the two parts of the reality, right? So it's both, they're both real, right? Your client's desire to take this action is obviously real, because it sounds like you're really working with them to help them build that up, or they wouldn't care, right, that they didn't do it.
Yeah, it's true. And they're motivated.
Yeah. And this is more information. It's not happening. Something is depleting. So what can we do with this whole reality? And when you open that, both pieces of the reality, then your client can, it's like, it doesn't invalidate the realness of their motivation that existed before. Because our clients, is your client kind of hard on themselves? I mean, is it,
Yeah.
they feel pretty bad when they show up and it's like, why did I not take action again?
Yeah. And they are really factual and not listening a lot to their emotions. So they like things to be done, to-do list, and finally they are not able to work on their own plan. So they feel bad about it.
Yeah, but they don't want to go to the emotion.
But I try to work a lot on emotion. But
so there's something you can yes and too, right? So
with your somatic and thought and intuition, the two somatic and intuition, they will say, I don't know. I try, but I don't really know. And yeah, it's just thought is fine. They are really clear, but finally I'm trying to help them also to be more to realize more what they are really feeling and stuff like that. But
and there's some resistance to that.
A lot of resistance on this.
So yes, that resistance too, right? So that's part of the reality. So on the one hand, you really want to get stuff done and you're motivated and you care about this goal. And at the same time, there's something getting lost in between, right?
Yeah.
And all you're doing is reflecting.
Reflect
the reality, right? You're just sort of saying, oh, I see this and I see this. And if you're reflecting without any sort of judgment, or you're just reflecting, your client will likely start to do the yes. You just automatically, they'll say, yeah. Okay. So that's progress. So, and then you might open it up to like, how willing would you be? How helpful would it be to work with this part of your reality, which is that something's getting stuck or something's getting lost? And if I don't know if you've been explicit with your client, if the two of you have talked together about not wanting to go to the emotional stuff, you can yes that too. Yes, I know that you really prefer to just be very efficient and get things done. And there's something inside of you that's resisting this. So what do you want to do with that?
Yeah.
They're still at choice. It's our client's decision what they want to work on and what they don't want to work on, right? It's not our job as coach to decide what to work on. And when we can just make space for the whole reality, then they can kind of decide, oh, do I actually want to deal with this or not? What's really valuable when clients are already beating themselves up is to really not forget that like the all that positive motivation is still in there. And we can still yes that even as we're dealing with resistance. How helpful is that, Elise? Is that resonating with your situation?
Yeah, I agree with the last part also. I tried also to not just to talk about something inside them that, I don't know the name in English, but put them down or something like that, that always makes them asking the same question. And it's not really our role to go too deep in this part. So it's this is the reality and how I can help you to go further in your project, in your goal, and also try to help them to realize, but we cannot do for them. Thank you.
Well, let me know how it goes. I'll be curious how using this.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have a question from Robin. Robin, would you like to ask something? Robin, you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah. Can you hear me? No? Yes.
I can hear you. Hi, Robin.
Hi. Hi. Thank you. Thank you for this. This is a wonderful presentation. Now I'm going to ask you a question about a butting that I do when I'm coaching. And I need your help. When I hear a but or a series of buts from a client, And usually it's surrounding some really, really life-challenging situation for the client. They're real, they're all real. I catch myself being a bit overwhelmed, and I exit the scene by avoiding to confront it, because experimentally, when I pick one or two of those buts and try to pressure test it or reframe it, I watch my client shutting down. It's so strong, they're so used to their butt situation that they tend to feel tremendously threatened the moment you challenge the butt. What's your advice?
So your client is yes butting themselves.
I'm very comfortable about it.
They're comfortable?
They're very comfortable. They're so habitually doing this with pretty much everything that the moment you challenge the butt, even say, oh, yeah, and then put an and there, it's a violent reaction, like, whoa, don't tell me what to do. So there you go.
So Robin, obviously it's a complex, like our clients are complex. So, and I want to just start by saying, of course, you know your client best, and I can't from the outside say, oh, this is exactly what's happening. I do have some thoughts. This might be a circumstance where explicitly offering the concept as a tool may actually be helpful, because it gives a little bit of objectivity. Oftentimes people who come to my mind when I hear you describing this client respond very well to tools that are sort of these concrete things. And so that's one option, is to say, you know what, I just learned about this concept that's really interesting. And it turns out that it can be really helpful in helping people be more effective, powerful, using language that really can speak to however it is this client wants to, whatever they want to be experiencing. Another thing that comes to mind is that sometimes I'm thinking about some clients who have some rigid yes buts that I've worked with over the years. Sometimes it's enough to just start with one of two things, either reflecting without any expectation of a change. So that could sound something like, you know what, I've noticed something. I've noticed that often you share an idea or you share one part of your reality, and then you use a word, but, and then it's almost like you shut it down or push it out of the way. And just make the observation, and, because then the client can get to decide what they're going to do with that. So that's one thing, is just to make the observation. I've noticed this. That's something I've used with a number of clients in the early stages, right? Another thing is that just in your own language as coach, just to change it, just to reflect it back and change it to and they might not even necessarily pick it up right away. I've used that too with clients who have it really rigid. So for example, they might say, and I'm not clear from what you've said yet, is this ideas? Is this conflicting feelings? It doesn't really matter. It works either way. So a client could say, I feel X, but I should feel Y. And you can just say, oh, okay, so you feel X and you also think that you should feel this way. Or I want to write a book, but I don't have time. Okay, so you want to write a book, and that's really important to you, and you really feel like you don't have time. And if you just continually and yourself, it creates a little bit more space. And as the coach, you're kind of modeling that. So those are sort of preliminary steps. One thing that I have noticed is that my clients will start to autocorrect themselves because they've heard me modeling it. So they'll say, but, and da, 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 da. And it can be really powerful for them because just changing the word can really shift something. So I'm curious, Robin, of any of that, what could you see applying with your client?
I think that's very, very, it triggered more solutions in my head. And one, I pick up two things. I can go on forever, but for now, just two things. One is I can see if there is a very habitual, chronic way of using this butting and blocking, then separate it situation by situation and handle each of them for each session or maybe a few sessions, number one. Number two, I can see NLP being a good tool to try and disengage this marriage of butt marriage.
Great. Well, I would love to hear how it goes. Let me know. Okay, I think we have time for maybe one more question if there is one. Going, gone. Any more questions?
Guys, speak up if you want to ask something or type in the chat box. Carrie's waiting to answer. I think Carrie, it's been a very, very good session. They don't have any questions. They're just going to pick it up.
I see. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Silka, and maybe mispronouncing your name, put a sticky note on your monitor that says yes and. That's great. I love it. Okay. There was a question in the chat. I see. Is yes and similar to self-validation and self-acceptance? So definitely yes anding is a way to do both of those, to validate yourself and to create more self-acceptance. What I find so powerful about it is that it actually gives your client, it's a tool that you can use to create self-acceptance that's not just another should. Because we often think, oh, I know self-acceptance is a good thing. I should accept myself, but I feel really insecure. Okay, so you have a desire to accept yourself and you really feel insecure. Let's honor both of those, that you have a vision for how you want to be showing up and you're feeling really insecure. So absolutely, validation and acceptance are really connected there. Okay, so I am so happy that I got to be with you all today, and feel free to stay connected. And if you do connect, I've been getting all kinds of LinkedIn requests. Drop me a note and let me know that you were in this session and that's where you found me, so that I know what the connection is. And thank you so much for having me join you today.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, everyone. It was a really brilliant session. I'm sure we'll be having a lot more ands and ands going on, progressing into all these wonderful, techniques you've taught. It will be helpful for the coaches as well as the clients. Thank you so much, Carrie, and thank you to everyone. See you next week on Transformational Tuesdays again. Please feel free to go over the recording should you want to review what Carrie has been explaining here. And have a very good night. Thank you so much. Take care. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.